Welcome back. Last week, New Brunswick Premier Sean Graham announced his government would not pass Bill 52, the proposed new legislation designed to outlaw bullying in schools under the Education Act. Premier Graham said the act was flawed and had no support from the teachers. Rob Frenette is an anti-bullying advocate and is the co-founder of bullyingcanada.ca. Mr. Frenette will be holding a protest at the New Brunswick Legislature all this week, hoping to persuade the government to change its stance. Rob Frenette joins us tonight from Fredericton. Mr. Frenette, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Paul.
Why is the Premier, along with the teachers, not in support of Bill 52?
At this point, it seems that they say the bill is flawed due to the fact that Policy 703 has everything we're asking for. At this point, I've reviewed Policy 703 several times. With the amendment to the Education Act, it would actually be more binding, where teachers would have more of an authority to basically deal with the situation of bullying. In my case, 703 didn't work. Maybe an amendment to the Education Act where we can be aligned with every other province, or just about every other province, to ensure that bullying is taken more seriously. He seems to say that bullying is, in my opinion, it looks like he's not ready to take this head on, because he's obviously not willing to work with anybody to get it fixed before the end of the legislature.
Now, based on your experience, and I know you have some experience as a student in these matters, do teachers in New Brunswick do a solid job? Are they equipped with the proper tools to stop bullying?
No, not at all. They need more resources, and I was hoping with the amendment to the Education Act that would be a starting point. The NBTA feels that enough is being done. Unfortunately, I don't agree with them. I don't agree with government on this issue, which is a little odd that they supported other anti-bullying initiatives, but they won't support this amendment. And, I don't feel, I know in my case, not enough was done, and I know I'm hearing from lots of students who are saying the same.
Anti-bullying campaigns in maritime schools are not new, but from a legislative standpoint, how would Bill 52 be different, and how would it improve the situation now in New Brunswick based on situations we're seeing not just in that province, but in other maritime provinces?
We would be up to date in regards to anti-bullying legislation due to the fact that with anti-bullying legislation within the Education Act, as I said, it would be more binding. We're one of the only provinces that does not have it in our Education Act. Policy 703 is only a policy. With it being in the Education Act, it would legitimately be a criminal offense to bully somebody. If you look at the criminal code, it currently is. So this is just kind of getting up to date, but government doesn't seem to see it that way. And
give me some behavioral patterns. Define bullying and some of the parameters that will be defined in a hypothetical Bill 52.
In a hypothetical Bill 52, it has bullying defined as social exclusion, threats, cyberbullying, verbal and physical bullying. And it's quite broad enough where, and I have to really correct this because there are reports stating that the suspension is required. That's actually inaccurate. There are ministers from the Liberal government right now stating that a 7-year-old could be suspended or will be suspended for bullying. That's not the case. It is up to the principal at their discretion to determine whether or not bullying should be done as a suspension, and the other suggestion is that the bully would have to return, prior to returning to school, would have to take part in an anti-bullying program.
And I know the clock is ticking for you and this cause in general. What sort of deadline are you dealing with as you try to help get this bill put back on the table and perhaps passed?
I have up until Friday to get this bill back on the table through third reading, through committee of the whole, and passed. So crunch time is definitely on. There will be a protest at the legislature on Thursday from noon until 1:30, hoping that government will realize that a lot of people are in support of this bill, despite what the ministers, in particular Kelly Lamrock, is saying. A lot of people, I'm hearing from a lot of people, and MLAs are hearing from a lot of people stating that this bill needs to be passed as quickly as possible.
And hypothetically, let's say you fail in this. We do know an election is coming up. Have you spoken with the opposition Tories? What have they told you with regard to this issue?
I've been guaranteed by David Alward, along with Jody Carr, that this bill will be brought back up after the next election, and if the Conservative government is in power, it will be passed. I don't want to play politics with it. Students' lives are at risk with this, so we need to take the politics out of it and look for the interests of all the students in our province by bringing this bill forward. So if for instance, that the government does not pass this by Friday, the opposition has guaranteed me on the record that this bill will be reintroduced and passed by their party.
Now, your perspective is deeply personal. Tell us what you went through growing up in Bathurst. How were you bullied, and what started the process for you to be a part of this cause?
I began being bullied in kindergarten. It was the whole name-calling, pushing, shoving, and that type of thing. And then it went into the death threats. For instance, 2 female students burnt the back of my neck on the way to school one morning. In my case, I was told that nothing could be done due to the fact that the school said that we had no other options. And, you know, it escalated. In grade 9, I spoke out as the first anti-bullying activist as a youth in the province. Unfortunately, I'm, if not the only one of the very few. And it kind of ratified and went worse from there. I was bullied for 11 and a half years, and, you know, I continue to be an anti-bullying activist for the students who either don't know how to speak up or can't within the province and the country.
And we're running short on time, but I also wanted to ask you, long-term, short-term, what are some of the effects you've seen of bullying through your experiences and through your research for young children who experience it today as they grow older?
I've spoken to parents who lost their son or daughter because they committed suicide because of bullying. That's the ultimate effect, unfortunately, and you know, it gets into where students just don't want to go to school anymore. I was one of those students, and it's just really upsetting that the government doesn't see the need to at least accept this within principle and bring this forward. And basically the battle won't be done, and I will continue fighting as far as I can.
So far you're fighting by yourself at the legislature. Are you going to get some company this week, people helping you in your protest?
I do. I have several people that will be here throughout the week, and Thursday is the big day. So David Allward, Margaret Ann Blaney, Jody Carr, and myself, along with others, will be speaking at the protest at the legislature on Thursday. All
right, Rob Furnett, thanks for joining us from Fredericton.
Thanks, Paul.
Rob Furnett is the co-founder of BullyingCanada.ca. CTV News continues after this.